Right. Okay. First paragraph. Here's some. This was given to me by one of our local professors of medicine. So here's some interesting points that you can use to start your very first sentence. The reason why ever since when I discovered that to be a doctor, my initial interest in when I saw, can you see they all almost force you to be reflective, watching, shadowing, shadowing a GP in my local surgery, I saw, shadowing a medical student, I saw, So again, I'll give you all a copy of these slides, but these are just some useful starting points, basically. All right. So first paragraph. What I normally recommend is that you split your UCAS statement into 4 paragraphs, basically. This is obviously not set in stone. It's just a guideline, but it's what I would use to start things with. So the first paragraph should be your motivation for medicine. So why, put in the Q&A, why do you want to study medicine? Yeah, so Abby, you like science and it seems exciting. Emil, if I've pronounced it right, helps others with issues relating to their body. Yes, I've got a sort of personal illness. Yeah. So what I would say is these are some of the reasons why students say they want to do medicine, basically. So there's a scientific side. So like Abby, so you like science and it seems exciting. But what I would say to that is make sure you give an example. What is it that you like about science? Give an example of where you've seen science being applied, where it's helped a patient. Yeah, for example, don't just write things like, I like biology, I like the heart, I like chemistry. For example, if you write, I like I really enjoyed learning and studying about the heart. Then you can go on and say, well, look, I saw a patient with heart disease during my work experience, or I read about a patient with heart disease in my virtual work experience. Make sure you link it, basically. Passion for helping others, because I'm interested in human biology. Yeah. Interest in curing disease and providing care for others. Yes. Yeah. But back it up, Myra. Write. What makes you interested in? Why are you interested in curing disease and providing care for others? Is there an example? For example, have you seen a patient or come across somebody who's ill in a nursing home, and it made you go and read up about them, what they've got, and that's what's motivated you to do medicine. Yeah. And don't forget the caring side. Medicine's not just about the scientific side. There's lots of caring aspects to medicine as well. It's not all about giving patients pills, or doing operations, but it's also about look at the social side. Patients have. We'll go into this shortly, but also patients have social needs. They need somewhere to live. They need to be, able to be fed properly, etc., etc. Some students will say, I want a career where I like working with people. Again, expand on that. Don't just leave that as a blank. You want to make a difference to people's lives. How are you going to make a difference? Give an example. For example, you could say, I came across a patient during my work experience with arthritis, or I've got a relative with arthritis, and the GP has helped him, gain his mobility by providing, a wheelchair, giving him painkillers, etc. So if you use that, write down what has been done and how it's made a difference, basically. Again, professional development and lifelong learning. Some students will write that down as a motivation factor. the fact that medicine never changes. You've got to keep yourself up to date. It may be useful if you do that to put an example of where you have where you have read about something recently, or a development in medicine. There's lots of things at the moment. For example, COVID-19 vaccination. There's loads of things going on at the moment. These are a little bit more weaker. Career options. Some students will say that the reason I want to do medicine is because there's loads of careers. There's a huge amount of careers available. I can choose to work in hospital. I can choose to work in primary care, in the community. Again, it by itself is a weak motivating factor. You can combine it with another one. I wouldn't put more than 2 motivating factors. You probably won't have the space to put more than 2 and reflect and develop your ideas on them. Some students will say that they like the challenge that medicine provides. Every patient is different. Every patient has his own or her own presenting symptoms, own management plans. If you do that, do put examples down. Again, students might say themselves, we've got a certain illness, or we've looked at a family member. For example, you might have a family member with dementia, or a family member with diabetes or epilepsy. And the fact that you've looked at that and you've seen what medicine has done for them, what the doctor has done for them, has motivated you to help others within the same situation. So again, that's another motivating factor. Work experience. Some students will write down things that they've seen on their work experience that have motivated them. They've seen a particular patient, they've seen a particular procedure. Postgraduate students. Have we got any postgraduate students? If you are, do you want to put yourself in the Q&A? No? I don't think we've got any postgraduate students. Again, family in the profession. Yeah. So we've got some postgraduate students. Good. So postgraduate students, what you would do is, hopefully your undergraduate degree will be related to medicine, so you can reflect on that. And for example, students will say, well, I've done my degree in biomedical science, where I learned this and this and this and this, and now I want to apply that to patients. For example, they're also usually going to want work experience, which you can perhaps do over the summer. Some of them will even say that you've got to have a certain amount of work experience. So again, it's all about making the transition from your undergraduate to postgraduate, graduate entry medicine. And the factors and the motivation will be the same, and the entry requirements and the expectations will be the same for you. Just that you've got the significant advantage that you might have an undergraduate degree that is related to medicine. Family in the profession. Would you put that your dad or your uncle or your mum is a doctor or a nurse in your personal statement? What do people think of that? Anyone? Pop it in the Q&A. I'm sorry, I don't know why the chat's disabled. It's certainly enabled from my side. I don't know what's going on in the IT world where this server is located. Probably no, maybe, but talk about what you learned from them. Not really a good reason. Understanding of the profession, Charlotte. Yeah, excellent. So don't use it on its own. So just simply saying, well, my dad's a doctor and that's why I want to be a doctor is not acceptable. But what you can do, as Charlotte has mentioned, look at some of the positives and look at why the work that your relative does has motivated you. For example, you can say along the lines, my dad's a GP. I can see he works long hours. He works under pressure. But the fact that he's comes home feeling very, very rewarded, it's a very rewarding career. He's got a personal list He looks after patients from cradle to the grave. So pick out all the positive sides of the profession that your relative is doing and use that as motivating factors. So you're almost putting down what's good about the occupation or the specialty that your relative is doing, rather than just the fact that they're a doctor. Yeah. So it needs careful thought, but yes, you can do. I wouldn't dismiss it outright. Again, things not to do in your first paragraph. Too many students start with, I love the combination of science with working with people. Don't bore the admissions tutor. And as I mentioned, you don't need a poetic or grand statement that will waste space. And again, don't waste space by stating facts. Medicine is a subject that involves treating patients. That's obvious. It's just wasting your word count, basically. Extenuating circumstances. If you've had to take a year out, for example, if you've taken a gap year out, how medical schools will react to this varies, basically. Make sure if you do take a year out, put the reason for that and what you did in that year. So hopefully, if you've had to take a year out, you fill the time with at least some work experience or done something that's related to medicine or something that will help you at medical school. If there's an illness or disability, you can include this in your personal statement, but I think it's better if you get your referee to explain the impacts of your illness, and it also saves you space, for other things. So get your referee if there's any personal circumstances, for example, a bereavement or anything like that. That's put that in. Get your referee to put that in. Okay, so just some tips. If you say you're interested in something, back it up with evidence. I've said that so many times. It's great if you can give examples of patient cases in your reflection. Mention the caring side of medicine. Don't ignore the caring side of medicine. If you mention a disease, say how it affects the patient. I'm going to go through that shortly. Be careful of using the word research. You need to back that up with examples. I wouldn't forget putting the word research on your personal statement. It's not. If you say you're interested in research in a certain area, and they pick up on that in your interview, unless you really know a lot about that area, you're just going to get yourself, you're going to dig yourself a hole, basically. I'd keep away from the word research on your personal statement. So homework and play. Homework and play is basically, this is a way that we look at how disease affects patients. And it's something that you can use to write your personal statement. You can also use it in your interview. So home, is there any problems with the basics at home? So does the disease cause problems with washing, dressing, and feeding, for example? For example, if you're talking about your personal statement about a patient with dementia, they might need somebody to wash them. They might need somebody to feed them. Work, has that illness affected their ability to work? Are they still able to work? Is there any challenges that disease has caused because of work? Any problems with speaking, memory? And play, is there any hobbies or sports that they could do before and that they can't now? Any problems with socializing with friends? Has their disease caused problems with their social life? So these are just kind of simple factors that you need to think about if you're talking about a disease. So those of you that are going to write down, I'm motivated to do medicine because of an illness, or even, during your work experience, I've seen patients with such an illness. These are the things that you can reflect on. And some medical schools, for example, Manchester, I know is one of them, is really hot on the social side of things. How does the disease affect the patient holistically? It's not just how it affects them medically. So it's not disease of the angina causes pain in their chest and causes them to become short of breath, but also, now they can't climb the stairs, so they have to live on the ground floor, for example. Okay, things not to say. We've discussed the family things. Don't just say mention family or relatives that are in a career in medicine without exploring that. The unemployment level is no. Yeah, we know. There was an issue during the COVID pandemic about employment for certain doctors, but that's generally, as a doctor, you'll find a job and it'll be well paid. Yeah, there's no need to state that in your personal statement. There's no need to state that, I'm applying to medicine because of family pressure, or, both of my parents are doctors and they want me to be a doctor. There's no need to put anything like that down. There's no need to put down things like fame, prestige, etc., reputation in the community, that kind of stuff. Forget that. There's no need to put down that I failed in other careers and that's why I'm becoming I'm doing medicine. The fifth UCAS choice, interestingly, they can't see that. They could do in the past, but now they can't see this UCAS choice. So don't mention that on your in your personal statement. Your personal statement should be geared for medicine. If you have got a fifth UCAS choice, then sometimes it may be better submitting a separate personal statement for that to the university. But then you'd have to contact the university about that. So keep your medicine. Keep your UCAS statement focused on your medical choices, basically.